Hi, my name is Shannon Clayton, and this is my You Pick 3 Option 4 project interview with a seventh grade special education teacher with regards to literacy education. So, just to kind of let you know how I'm going to proceed with this, I've got slides on the next coming up where I have questions based on Nebraska's college and career readiness standards, and they were adopted in 2014. They're also known as the ELA and literacy standards. So I asked the question, and our SPED teacher gave us a response, gave me a response, and I typed that out. And at the very end, I'm going to take all the information that she gave me and then display it on a Venn diagram so you can see similarities and differences between general education and special education, literacy education, or instruction. So the first question I asked her was just what was the relationship between general education teachers and SPED teachers at Platteview Central with regards to literacy, both teaching and supportive student learning. And she echoed my sentiments, I think. We are very fortunate at Platteview Central. We have about 200 students in our building, seventh and eighth grade only. And we have quite a few students who receive services for special education. And so this year, we were able to get a teacher, a special education teacher just for seventh grade, and then another one just for eighth grade. So she is our seventh grade special education teacher. She works only with the seventh grade. We have a very small staff. There's only 5 core teachers. We have a couple of high school teachers that teach the quarter elective classes, but the 5 core teachers and our special education teacher work very closely together. She also reminded me that we have team plan usually 2 to 3 times a week. We've got block scheduling during COVID, so that number of times we meet kind of depends on what day of the week it is. But we've got a 97-minute block schedule where we meet. And I'm going to share a little bit more about team planning and what goes on during that time. But then we also have, she brought up the aspect of team teaching. I'm going to explain that a little bit more in a future slide too. And so I asked her a second question: what are some of your short-term and long-term goals, curriculum goals for literacy at Platteview Central? I thought it was interesting. She said her short-term was to make sure that her students have daily success. And that was something that the author of our textbook reiterated, that it was very important for students to be able to read at their current grade level, even if it's lower than where we want them to be, so that they can have that success. She wants them to be confident and to have persistence. So instead of giving up, have that success so that they're more motivated to continue. Long-term writing, long-term curriculum goal involves our 2020-21 Platteview Central Building Literacy Goal, which is focused on writing this year. And I'm going to discuss that on a slide later on as well. So this is the first question that I'm asking her with regards to the Nebraska state standards. And I said, one aspect of literacy is reading. There are many parts in this category, including phonological awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. What can you tell me about the similarities and differences between gen ed teachers and SPED teachers at Platteview Central for these areas of instruction? And then I'm including the ELA standards for this strand. And she told me, this is where I'd like to talk to you about the team planning. So we have, as I mentioned, 2 to 3 times a week, we're meeting for 97 minutes each day. And this is a time where all the 7th grade core teachers are together with a special education teacher. We're meeting actually in the special education teacher's room. We use this time to discuss student concerns. We talk about strategies. We talk about things that work for us. This is a great time for us to ask her questions with regards to students who are receiving services, like what are some things that we can do for differentiation. It is a fantastic time that we have built, and it's just sort of expected that this is how we use our class or how we use our team plan time. So with regards to literacy instruction, this is valuable time that we're able to meet together. Um, we also have something that's kind of become part of our school culture, and that is a team teaching approach to math, ELA, and reading lab. And the special education teacher is in those classes. Most of the time, the gen ed classes are heterogeneous. The one exception to that is math. So first period, all of the students that receive services for math are in the math class, and she is there with them. And she will teach with the math teacher. She's not only helping the SPED kids, she's also helping the gen ed kids and vice versa. She's taken this approach then, and she's in the English language arts class twice a day, I believe. She's in reading lab, and she and the reading teacher use the curriculum Read 180. She also talked to me about differentiation. Again, it's just kind of our culture. It's just expected that as gen ed teachers, we will discuss any kind of concerns that we have with her during team plan. If anything comes up after team plan or before, then we'll talk to her about some differentiation strategies if we need them. But it's all very much a team approach. She said something I thought was really on the nose. She said her special education knowledge plus the core teacher's content knowledge equals the best experience for students, because we're giving them the best of everything. And that definitely applies to literacy education. Next question I had for her was, one aspect of literacy is writing. There are many parts of this category, including the writing process and writing modes. What can you tell me about the similarities and differences at Platteview Central? So this is where I'd like to kind of explain our building literacy goal. I have a slide after this one that kind of explains it visually, but I'll just explain it now. We agreed as a building that we wanted to increase literacy skills, especially in the area of writing, and especially with regards to the use of sources, evidence, text-dependent evidence in the students' writing. So every single teacher at Platteview Central, 7th and 8th grade, this is our goal. We have, on the next slide, I've got a poster I wanted to share with you. We've got the poster in our room. We all are using, here's the problem. We were discovering that we're all using text-dependent analysis in our writing because it's part of the standard, but we were all using different vocabulary for it. So for example, in science, I might say you need to use your evidence to support your claim. And in language arts, she might say use text-dependent evidence. And in social studies, he might say, hey, cite your source. So we're all saying the same thing, but it's using different vocabulary. So we created a common vocabulary. We developed a common strategy with 4 steps. So having that and knowing that the general ed teachers are teaching that, then that makes it easier for the special education teacher to go. She knows exactly what everybody's saying, and she's able to support us then when the kids go to her for their study hall. The kids are not pulled out. The kids are in our classrooms 7 out of 8 periods. The only time the special education kids are not in our classroom is during guided study, which is our study hall, and they just have study hall with the special education teacher. So also with the writing process and writing models or writing modes, she said that with regard to literacy instruction, we work as a team to modify and accommodate the different assignments and assessments. She doesn't have to do anything by herself. It's again, it's kind of just a culture that we don't say, "Hey, here's a test. Will you modify that for me?" It's just we just don't do it. We do it. We'll ask her questions. If I have a reading assignment, or I have a writing assignment just very recently where I asked students to create a backstory for an element superhero. So they had to do some research, find out physical characteristics of an atom, chemical characteristics of an atom, and they had to write this backstory, like how did they get these superhero powers? They basically were personifying an atom. And so she worked with me, supported me, how I could modify that for my special education students. But we kind of do it together. So here's the poster I wanted to share with you. You can see that we use a strategy called RACE. It stands for restate the question, answer the question, cite the evidence, and explain the evidence. What I like about this poster, this is a poster that our administrator created for us. And what I like about it is that we have these sentence starters for cite the evidence, and we have sentence starters for explain the evidence. This is what I was referring to, that in that we're all teaching it exactly the same. So it's not just a strategy that one teacher used or the general education teacher uses, we all. So special education teacher said this makes her job a lot easier because she's able to take this poster and just help the kids use those sentence starters to cite their evidence and then explain it. Okay, next question was, one aspect of literacy is communication. There are many parts included in this category, including speaking, listening, and reciprocal communication. What can you tell me about the similarities and differences? This is one area, and actually there's one more where she felt like maybe there were some differences between what happens with special education teachers and the SPED teacher. She said, in her opinion, the SPED students require more patience and confidence building in this area, especially if we're doing public speaking. The area of listening, comprehending, reciprocal communication, it takes a little bit more time for those students to maybe develop those skills. And so this is where she will just be able to take more time during the guided study, the 8th period guided study, when she meets with those students one-on-one. She also said that general education teachers may not have the ability to meet those individual needs because we've got a heterogeneous classroom, and we just are not able to take the time. One thing I should mention also is that we are very fortunate in that we have 2 paras. So not only is a special education teacher coming into our classrooms during different class periods, but we also have paras that are assigned to us. And so these kids are really getting the one-on-one attention that they need. And we have a really great community to serve them. But this is maybe where the special education department takes on a little bit more responsibility by meeting with those students one-on-one and really working out how to help them. And then the last standard is multiple literacies. And so this includes reliable resources, citing sources, use of print and digital formats, and digital citizenship. So again, she brought up the fact that maybe this is where she is specializing a little bit more, that she's taking a little bit more time and offering more supplemental support for general education teachers and for the students themselves. Our students at Platteview Central have their own iPads. And so sometimes they just need a little bit more time to catch up. Um, they're not as quick understanding technology, even just the basics of opening up an app or submitting something to our um, platform, submitting a homework assignment. So this is where special education teacher will maybe spend a little bit more time with those students. She's made a comment that her SPED students tend to believe maybe a little bit more than they should when they read something on the internet. And so she has to work extra hard with them to talk about reliable resources and bias. And just because you search something, don't always take the first hit and call that good. Actually open up open up the screen and read it. And then again, she brought up our building literacy goal using the race, especially when talking about citing sources. So what exactly is this source saying? She's working with them for, we do too, general education teachers work with students for summarizing. But again, it's just that ability for her to take a little bit more time with each student, work one-on-one. And then other digital formats. The English language arts teacher just finished her fractured fairy tale unit where she had the students reading different fairy tales, different versions of the same fairy tale. And then she showed Into the Woods, the movie. So they were talking about how the books translate to different versions, translate to a different version, even using a movie. And then now the students are writing their own fractured fairy tale. So again, she's just helping them, supporting the students by working with them more one-on-one than the general education teacher can do. This was a quote she said at the very end of our interview. She says, "I know you asked about the similarities and differences between Gen Ed and SPED at Platteview Central. I honestly don't think that there's much of a difference. We work so well together. We bounce ideas off of each other. We help make accommodations. We get to know all students. The only difference I see is that I have a ton of paperwork and you guys have the developing of lessons." I thought that was that made me feel good as a general education teacher, that she feels as supported as I do from her, and that we just have created this community of, we're all helping all the students. It's wonderful. So here's my Venn diagram. I've got, I'm going to move my person down here. Okay, so we've got literacy instruction. I've got general education on one side, SPED on the other side. We've got both. How are we similar? What similarities do we have? And then the differences. So I want to talk about the differences with the general education teachers first. We have the responsibility of aligning the units with the literacy standards themselves, making sure that actually what we're doing meets those standards. And we also have the responsibility of making sure that all the units fit within the scope and sequence for our district plan. The special education teacher, her differences lie with the last two standards, specifically communication and multiple literacies. And it's not so much a difference as much as it is just being able to work with the students one-on-one, really meeting the individual needs of each student for making sure that they are able to get the literacy instruction that they need to meet those standards. Now, for both of us, we've got team planning. I can't even begin to express to you how important that team planning is for us, and the team teaching that occurs, and how she brings her knowledge to the classroom, the entire classroom. So the general education students receive the benefit of her teaching style, her structure, her suggestions, her, examples. as well as the SPED students. So it's really wonderful. We have differentiation that we both work on, and we both are very aware. She's wonderful about giving us each student's IEPs at the very beginning of the school year. So we have the entire IEP, plus she gives us like a quick reference sheet for each student. So I know who requires skeleton notes. I know who requires maybe one or two fewer multiple choice questions. I know who needs a little bit extra time. So she's very good about giving us that information. And then just over the years, we've kind of learned different strategies. And if we ever get stuck, then she helps us with that. We help each other. Modifications and accommodations. And then finally, that we're all responsible for our building literacy goal, and using and teaching race to for with the kids, to have them cite sources in their writing. Thanks so much.